Hi everybody, I am back with another comic book video. This time I'm going to show you my top 10 in a trade paperback, top 10 asterisk, top 10 favorite comic books. Now these are not necessarily the best comic books I own, not the most expensive or sought after comic books I own. Frankly, some of these aren't very good, but to me they're good. Nostalgia. The things that got me excited about comics and just comics that I love. These are my favorite comic books. Before I get to that, real quick, I don't usually do these shout outs, but recently a really good guy, Tom Jeffers, Creature here on YouTube, gave me a shout out. Was plugging my channel here, and I really appreciate it. He's a good guy, good channel, good content. Check him out. It's good stuff. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it. All right. Now again, these are my favorite comics. We'll start off with the one that's not a comic. So there'll be 10 after this. Don't judge me. Math is hard. This is the Death of Superman trade paperback that was on newsstands right after the actual Death of Superman issue hit. Issue 75 hit. If you see, this is just a $4.95. Picked this up at the local Hooks drugstore in my town as a young comic book enthusiast in my early teens. And this is the original copy. You can't really see, but I have dog-eared and beaten this comic book to death. I devoured this. This was my introduction to what comic books were, and I recently reread this, and it does not hold up as well as I'd hoped, but it's still got some really cool stuff in here. It's still one of my favorite books. Now, actual comics. I just love this cover. I'm sure I've shown this in a video before. Sorry if you've seen it before. It's a great cover. It's a great looking book. Invincible Iron Man King Size Special #1. I believe this is from 1970. When I was a kid at the local comic shop, I worked there a little bit, just organizing his books, and he gave me a deal on just a long box. I could fill a long box full of anything I wanted except Amazing Spider-Man. I love me some Spidey. And this was one of the books I got. This is really high grade. It's just a beautiful comic. This is art. I love this cover. It's great. Love it. Okay, now again, my favorite comics, not necessarily good comics. To that end, the Transformers #8. I'm terrified right now. See, when I make these YouTube videos, they just kind of take a random picture of me holding a comic. I don't know how it chooses it, and that's what goes on the title. So this will say top 10 favorite comic books, and there'll be a picture of me holding this. And people are going to go, what in the hell? No. Because, yeah, this isn't real good. But when I was a kid, this is the first comic book I remember. For whatever reason, I got this comic book. And I remember my father reading this to me. I remember sitting on my father's lap. And this comic is just unintelligible. I can only imagine my poor father, who was used to reading, very simplistic children books to myself and my siblings, reading this weird comic. My father fell asleep in the Transformer movie. My brother and I went, and I'm being traumatized by the events on the screen. Spoilers, Optimus Prime dies. And I looked to my father for guidance and a reassurance that everything was going to be okay. Man was fast asleep, bored out of his mind. God bless him. But anyway, I remember he read me this comic, and it always holds a special place in my heart. Very similarly, when I was in 2nd grade, I got really sick. I had some kind of bad stomach bug, and I remember my grandmother showed up, and she brought me a comic book because she knew I liked Transformers, and she assumed I would like comic books, but I really didn't care. But I remember she got me Transformers 37, and I remember being very sick as a little boy and reading this comic over and over again. That gave me some comfort. So thank you, Granny. Again, this is the picture they're going to use, this comic. It's not a good comic. You don't have to go out and find this comic. It won't mean anything to you. I love it. When I first started and I was just sampling comics, getting into them, I was at Toys R Us and they were selling packs of comics. And one of them I could see, so they were all like bundled up and you couldn't like flip through them, they were all in a package. And I saw this cover and I had to buy it, and I love this comic. Ghost Rider 13. Look at that cover. Like, I saw this and I was like, okay, this isn't Superman. This isn't Transformers. What is this? This is something else. And the comic's really cool. It plays with the medium a bit. Howard Mackey is not well thought of as a writer, but he does some cool little tricks in this book that I recently reread it. It still holds up as a fun comic. It ends on a cliffhanger, introducing you to more Marvel U characters. The Marvel Universe characters. It's one of my favorite comics. Love Ghost Rider. Love Ghost Rider. To that end, I was able to acquire, I'm sure this is in a video I have, Marvel Spotlight number 5. The first appearance of Ghost Rider, one of my favorite characters. This was a grail book for me for a long time until I finally found a decent copy at a decent price, pulled the trigger, and I won't even take it out of its nice little frame I have here. I got it on my wall. I love this book. Do you notice me saying I love these books? Because they're my favorite comic books. It'd be weird if I was like, looks okay. Ghost Rider. His head's on fire. It's on a motorcycle. That's awesome. DC. I got some DC books in here too. Not many. That's interesting. Okay. Tired. Sorry. Detective Comics 663. This was part 10 of the Nightfall series. This is, it's right in the middle of the story, so you wouldn't think that you'd be able to pick up what's, you'd think you'd need to read the other 9 parts. No, this book is great. This is by Chuck Dixon and Graham Nolan. I hold this as one of the best comics I've ever read. It's so good. If you want to know who Batman is, what Batman's all about, what Batman will do to survive, to win the day, to protect the innocent, this comic is so good. I've read this book 1,000 times, and this really got me into comics. I read this and I was like, this is not just kid fare. There's something else going on in these books. I like this. I need more. Boy, these are predominantly Marvel. That's interesting. X-Men 25. Again, right when I started collecting, look at that foil, shiny cover, 90s people. What even is that? It's Gambit. Never mind, it's not important. I really wasn't a big X-Men fan. I remember them more from the Amazing Spider-Man and his Amazing Friends cartoon when I was a kid. So I knew Magneto and Wolverine, and I saw this book at a local bookstore on a rack, spinner rack, and I picked it up, and this book is crazy. You're right in the middle of the story, so you got to figure out what's going on. I was trying to find X-Men that I recognized. Spoiler alerts, Magneto rips Wolverine's skeleton, his adamantium skeleton, out of his body. It's crazy. Oh my gosh. Where's the next part of this? I have to buy all of these. Love this comic. Are you tired of me saying, I love this comic? 3 more. Marvel's number 1. This was a game changer to me. This was before I'd read Watchmen or Dark Knight Returns. I hold the Marvel series very high. Artwork by Alex Ross is just beautiful. The story is so good by Kurt Busiek. Busiek. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I'm sorry. Oh, it's so good. If you've never read this, and I'm sure everyone, if you're watching this, you've read Marvels. So good. So good. I want to read it right now. Second to last, I know I showed this video over the last year, or this book over the last year. Strange Tales Annual number 2. This is another one of my Grail books. 4th appearance of the Amazing Spider-Man. I've wanted this book forever. I love this cover. I love Amazing Spider-Man. And this is as close to a Silver Age gem as I'll probably get for a long time. Some cheap. But I love this comic. Jack Kirby art. Ugh. Oh, the house catches fire. I gotta grab these and get them out of here. Oh God, if the house catches fire. How many comics can I get out of the house? Along with loved ones and mementos. Last, certainly not least, Amazing Spider-Man number 300. I love Spider-Man. I love Venom. First appearance of Venom. This is also near mint condition. I bought this book in the mid-90s, right when I started collecting, and it was a book I bought with my mother, who has passed on many years ago. But I bought this book at a comic convention that she took me to here locally, and I can't remember exactly where it was, and that kind of bugs me. But she was with me, and she loaned me a few bucks so I could add it to my own allowance and buy this book. So I love this comic. Look at it. It's so cool. And that's 10 plus. And I make honorable mention this is not a comic book. I used to collect baseball cards. So when I got into comic books, there were lots of comic book cards everywhere. Like there were sets from, I don't know, there's tons of comic book cards. So when I was first getting into the hobby, I wanted to, this is before the internet, kids, I wanted to learn as much as I could about it. So I found this. This became my Bible. This is the 1992 set of Marvel comic cards. Now this isn't every Marvel comic character, but it's a lot of them. And it also references a lot of famous battles and storylines. And the back of each card would give you an origin of the character, and then it would give you the first appearance of that character. Oh my God, this was my Bible. This told me everything. I had to get these first appearances. I had to read these first appearances. What are these? Who are these characters? This is amazing. And I love this set. I hope to one day give it to my child, see if he'll give a damn in any way, shape, or form, or if he'll fling them around the room. I don't know. The point of this video is, these are my favorite comics. I love comics. They're great. You all love comics. I'm going to take a drink now because I'm a little sick. Excuse me. Professional. I'd love to see your favorite comics. I see so many of you finding these amazing gems, these rare books that are recent, last 20 years. Variant covers and first appearances of a character that might be in a movie in 2 years. And that's all great. I love that stuff. I look for the same stuff. But that's not what got you excited about comics. You didn't get excited about comics because you thought that a character might be in a Spider-Man movie in 2 years and you could sell a book on eBay. That is fun, though. So let me see your favorites. What do you like? What books get you excited? Which ones make you smile? All right, everybody. I'm going to try to do this more regularly. I'm going to try like weekly, bi-weekly. I really am. And this is the start of that. So everybody take care. Like, subscribe, tell a friend, tell an enemy. Just keep watching. Thanks, everybody. And once again, thank you, Tom.